The sun is currently setting, and it's the perfect time to discuss Yves Saint Laurent M7 Oud Absolu. One of my new discoveries, and I gotta be honest with you guys, sometimes I question why I'm so stupid, why I waited so long to try this fragrance, because I've been telling you guys time and time again, you have to get out there, you have to try stuff that you're not sure if you're going to like or not. And sometimes I need to follow my own advice quicker, because that's exactly what happened with this fragrance. I would see it mentioned, I would see it recommended, and I just wouldn't give it the time of day. I would just look right past it, go on with what I was doing, buying stuff that I'm comfortable with buying, and I never branched out of my comfort zone and tried this one up until recently, and now I'm really kicking myself for not trying it sooner. So of course today I'm going to be reviewing Yves Saint Laurent M7 Oud Absolu. I'm going to tell you how it smells, how it performs, and most important part, if it's worth picking up, because unfortunately this one has been discontinued yet again, so I'm not really sure what they're thinking or why they're doing that. I think a few of the Yves Saint Laurent fragrances have been on the chopping block. Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme Ultime, that one was also recently discontinued as well, so you want to start picking these up while you can. And yes, this is one of them. I'm not really sure what they're doing with some of the others in this line of fragrances. I ended up picking up 2 bottles of this. I got a bottle of the original Pour Homme as well, just to be safe, but I don't know why they're doing it. This one has hit the chopping block and it is being discontinued. So yeah, follow this review and kind of learn if you think you should pick this one up or not. I'm going to try to describe it the best I can, so those of you who are into this sort of thing, maybe you'll realize that's something you'll want, and then you'll buy it before you can't get it anymore. So let's start off with how this fragrance smells. When you first spray this one on, what you get right away is this nice, beautiful orange top note. Along with that orange, you get a nice smoky and somewhat spicy patchouli on top of a nice mild oud. So that's kind of the 3 things that this one starts out here with. A nice orange, a nice somewhat smoky kind of earthy patchouli, and a nice mild oud note. And that right there is why I put this fragrance off for so long, because I'm not a big fan of oud fragrances, and whenever I see oud in the name, I just write it off. But this one, I gotta tell you, it is not at all what most people think of when you think of oud fragrance. Typically when you think of oud, you think of something that's going to be stanky and hard to pull off. But I mean, this fragrance, this is not any of those things. It's very mild, it's very light, and honestly, for those people who are really into oud, like niche fragrances and stuff like that, they would laugh at the fact that this, says it has oud in it and that it's called M7 Oud Absolu. So you'll find that overall this one is a smoky, somewhat powdery and seductive scent. The powderiness does come in as it starts to dry down a little bit more. And speaking of the dry down, you still do get that nice patchouli note and that oud in here. And again, the oud is very light, it's very subdued. Basically, this is one of those fragrances where you have to like patchouli and you have to like a very mild oud in order to enjoy this one. Really, I mean, a lot of the focus is on that patchouli note, and it all kind of comes across just a little bit smoky, a little bit mysterious in one way or another. Like when I think of this, or when I smell this, I think of someone dressed up in a suit and tie going out in the evening. Just that sort of thing. I mean, obviously that can paint, a lot of fragrances can paint that type of picture in your head, but I don't know, there's just a really seductive and mysterious aspect about this fragrance. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like a James Bond type of fragrance, something that's kind of low-key that you don't really expect it coming, but then when you wear this, everyone's going to be turning their heads thinking, yo, what is that? Because really this smells like nothing else out there. It's very unique and it really sets itself apart from a lot of other scents. Of course, M7 Oud Absolu, the original one, back in the other bottle, that was when Tom Ford was the creative director of Yves Saint Laurent. I mean, this dude has directed some of the best fragrances in the world, in my opinion. I mean, of course, obviously, now he is Tom Ford. He has his own line of fragrances, but back when he was creating and directing fragrances for other brands, he created stuff like Gucci Envy. I believe it was Gucci Pour Homme, although I could be wrong. And of course, he was behind this one as well. So I mean, gotta give it to him. He's done some amazing stuff out here. It's also worth noting that in the opening the way the oud comes across, some may consider it to be somewhat medicinal, and that's one way that you can hear oud described as, oh, it's a medicinal oud, it smells like Band-Aids and all this and all that. There's a bunch of different ways oud can come across, and a bunch of different ways that people prescribe it, or not really prescribe it, describe it maybe is the word I'm looking for. I don't know where I was going with that, but there's a lot of different ways that people describe it and pick up on it. Now, in the opening, maybe just a little bit medicinal. So you have to give it a shot. You have to let it settle down for a little bit and do its thing, and then it gets miles and miles better. But again, you still are accompanied with that nice orange note and with that patchouli in here. So it's not like it's straight up medicinal oud right in the opening. There's some other accompanying notes in here as well. So who is this fragrance for? I mean, this is going to be for the guy who wants something different, wants something to stand out and be unique, and really just wants to be daring. You're tired of the blue fragrances. You're tired of a lot of the standard designer fragrances from Yves Saint Laurent and from a lot of the other popular brands as well. I mean, a lot of these designer brands release stuff that is very mass pleasing and very easy to pull off. But when you have these like different collections from these designer brands, Tom Ford Private Blend, you got the Chanel exclusives, the Dior La Collection Privé, or whatever they're all called, and then of course Yves Saint Laurent even has their higher end collection as well. This one isn't quite in there yet. It's just kind of somewhere in the middle. You start getting into fragrances that are going to be a little bit more daring. Of course, they are going to be a bit more expensive, but along with that price tag does come incredible quality and just fragrances that are overall much more unique and different. I would say for the most part, this is a fragrance that can be worn in the fall, winter, and springtime. So on a night like tonight where it's about 60 degrees or so, it would be perfect. It's just cool enough to where it's going to kind of tone back some of that oud and sweetness and smokiness, but it's also not too warm or too hot to where it's going to get cloying. So it's a really nice balance there. In springtime it would work great. Summer evenings it could work great as well. And then of course fall and winter, I think you would be set with this fragrance. So those are the best seasons for it. In terms of situations, definitely easily a formal fragrance. I mean, you can dress this stuff up and kill it, but also you could dress this one maybe down a little bit. For me personally, I don't dress up that often. So, when I get all these fragrances that are formal smelling and that smell like they could be dressed up, I'm still going to wear them in casual clothing, jeans, hoodie, if it's kind of a cooler day in spring, maybe a t-shirt like I got right now and shorts or, whatever. I'll still dress them down. Is it going to be the most fitting for that? Probably not, but you can still do it, and that's something that I'll personally do as well. Now, is this going to be a compliment getter? To be honest with you, it depends. I mean, it is something different. So for the women out there who appreciate something different on a man, then they're going to like this. But you do got to keep in mind, depends on the age and all that good stuff. A lot of people are really, really used to the blue fragrances, the youthful smelling fragrances, all that stuff. So when they smell this, they may not really know what to think. And of course, like I always say, if you're looking for a compliment getter, there's other options out there. I mean, there are fragrances that are designed just for that. And I'm looking at all of the blue fragrances. I don't even have to list any of them off. If you want a compliment getter and that's all you care about, go with the blue fragrance. When you get into fragrances like this, you're really doing it for yourself, for your own personal enjoyment. And that's really what it is for me. As someone who is very passionate about fragrances and as someone who owns a lot of them, I own a lot of the blue fragrances, the mass-pleasing generic fragrances, whatever. It's nice to kind of have stuff like this that I can personally enjoy for myself and that I can just spray on my hand and just enjoy it throughout the day when I'm stuck at home. I guess I should talk about performance. Performance on my skin, I get about 9 to 10 hours, so it's a really good performer. And in terms of projection, I'm getting about maybe 2.5 hours of projection, at which point it starts to die down closer to the skin, becomes a skin scent probably after 4 or 5 hours, or at least pretty close to the skin, but then it is still detectable up until about 9 to 10. So really good overall, and it still will be detected with close range after that point. So not bad performance at all. And again, it is a relatively heavier fragrance with some freshness in there, so you would expect some good lasting power and projection. So again, I'm going to go and start to wrap this one up. My final thoughts on this fragrance: is this something that you should purchase because it's discontinued? In my opinion, if you're into fragrances like this, it's a no-brainer. Now, for you guys out there who maybe haven't experienced or experimented with fragrances like this, patchouli, oud, smoky, warm fragrances, and you mostly stick with the fresher scents, maybe you're first starting out. That's how I was personally. I started out loving aquatics and citruses, and I still do love them, but I have branched out. If you haven't really branched out yet, I would probably either sample it first or, maybe just hold off. I don't want to lead you guys on the wrong way here, because it's not going to be for everyone. This is kind of one of those things where you need a bit of a developed taste. You need to kind of really experiment and see what you like in fragrances. But for my guys out there who know what they like, you like some patchouli, you like some oud, you like these warm, smoky, somewhat spicy scents that are a bit different, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. As a bug flew into my eye, it's a no-brainer. Get this one before it's too late. You can still find it online. I believe I paid retail for this one, and then I actually found it cheaper somewhere else, like $80, $90. So you could still get them and, maybe get them a little bit off of retail, but it's not going to be a whole much. So guys, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you're liking these outdoor videos. On my last video, the response was great. You guys really seemed to enjoy that video. A lot of likes. A lot of people were saying they missed the outdoor videos and stuff like that. So I am going to try to get out here and make more of them. And obviously, being that we are quarantined right now, it's nice to be able to get outside of the house and get out in the fresh air and record some videos for you guys. So I'll keep them coming. Glad you guys are enjoying them. And of course, make sure you stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow night with another one. Take care.